So in the first video of this series, you saw Roger talk about how he used hypnosis to build his confidence and remove his shyness when he was a young man, just starting out around 20 years ago. He also showed you how the essence of knowing hypnosis is the ability to turn your thoughts into experience, or in other words, to bridge the gap between dreams and reality. Around the same time as Roger's story, I had a few ideas about hypnosis. I'm not sure whether I even believed in it properly, or sometimes I had these thoughts that it was somehow magical or about controlling someone else, all the kind of usual myths that people have. But above and beyond all that, a more sincere part of me actually wanted to find out what it was all about. I've always been fascinated with the human mind and how it works. And if you are too, you'll find this video really interesting. So let me introduce myself properly. I'm Mark Tyrrell, the co-founder of HypnosisDownloads.com, along with Roger Elliott, who told you his story in the last video. This time, I'm going to talk about some of the weirder seeming aspects of hypnosis and take you through a hypnotic induction to get you more in touch with your hypnotic potential. Because the thing you're going to come to understand about hypnosis is that it's not about thinking. It's not some kind of academic process. It's about experience. And just like you can only understand what water is by actually drinking it, so you need to experience hypnosis to properly understand its power. One thing that always baffled me was hypnotic phenomena. And you may never even heard of this, but basically hypnotic phenomena are seemingly inexplicable things that happen under hypnosis. Now, things like how people can control bleeding or blood pressure or even immune cell activity. Even saying it out loud now sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? But all these things are quite fascinating. But there are some more obvious forms of phenomena that show us exactly what's going on. And those are things like hand levitation, where a subject's hand drifts into the air and they'll swear blind that it's not them doing it. It's not the conscious part doing it. So let's have a look at an example of that.
And the more that hand and arm lift up by itself, your unconscious mind, your instinctive mind can look after that hand. That's it. The more fully you can experience. That's it. Sailing in your mind. Or maybe just relaxing deeper and deeper.
So if you watch her hand, you'll see it's moving strangely, and that's because it's her unconscious mind lifting it. She's just an observer. Notice that unusual jerky movement? That's such a different motion to how you normally move your hand, isn't it? Now, you can really only understand how something like this hand levitation happens by experiencing it, which I know sounds strange, but bear with me, and you'll understand how it works by the end of this video. Hypnotic phenomena are fascinating not just because they seem inexplicable, but also because they give you a deep insight into how hypnosis works and how the mind works. So I want to tell you about a weird thing that happened to me when I was learning hypnosis originally. You see, I seemed to have a reasonable talent for hypnotizing other people when I was practicing on the course that I was initially training on, but I never felt I'd really experienced hypnosis for myself properly. And I mulled over this for a few weeks. And then one day, when I was having a nap lying on top of my bed in the afternoon, the full range of hypnotic phenomena just happened spontaneously, seemingly all by themselves. I realized afterward that what had happened was my unconscious mind had worked out how to solve the problem I was having with not feeling I'd been hypnotized. And it kind of produced all these responses for me. I got a hand levitation, eyelid catalepsy, arm catalepsy, multisensory experience, complete disassociation from where I was, but I was awake at the same time. It was amazing. And it happened quite spontaneously. And when it was happening, I knew it was happening. So it was really quite beautiful. When I started training people how to use hypnosis in 1995, I knew how effective hypnosis could be for treating emotional problems, but I hadn't yet discovered just how powerful a tool it could be for personal success and achievement. Over the following years, as my colleague Roger Elliott and I founded Uncommon Knowledge, we had to really draw on our hypnosis skills on many occasions to keep ourselves moving forward and our business growing. So I was seeing clients, but I really needed to use it for myself too. We used hypnosis to help ourselves in three major ways. Firstly, to stay motivated when things got tough. We were both on survival wages for the first 3 years of our business. Secondly, to build our own confidence to take on bigger and bigger challenges. For example, I went from being very uncomfortable running small workshops, and in fact having a panic attack on one of the early workshops before I spoke, to lecturing comfortably to crowds of 500 people on all-day seminars. And most importantly, we used hypnosis to set unconscious blueprints for major success. We went on to run the UK's most admired professional hypnotherapy course, and now run the world's busiest hypnosis website, where over 500,000 sessions have been purchased since we began. And during that time, we've helped thousands of people, which is extremely gratifying for us, including celebrities, famous authors, traumatized soldiers, and victims of horrendous childhood abuse. But some of the most inspiring stories come from normal people who've achieved their dreams by learning how to use hypnosis just as naturally as they would type out an email. When I first learned how to experience hypnosis, it was like entering another world that, although it had always been there somehow, I hadn't known about. At first I went quite lightly into hypnosis, but every time I learnt more about it, I discovered a little more and journeyed further and further into that new landscape. I went deeper and deeper each time. Since time began, we've created, invented, and imagined our way to higher and higher levels as a species. So if you really don't know what you should do in life, you can use the deeper wisdom with your unconscious mind to help guide you. So let me take you on a hypnotic journey, and this is an induction I call the Magical Kingdom, because there's nothing more magical than discovering the amazing hypnotic potential that's already within you right now. So of course, if you're listening to this in your car or any time you need to maintain concentration, please just pause it now and listen when you're somewhere you can safely relax. Okay, so what you can do now is take a moment to ensure you're comfortably sitting down somewhere you won't be interrupted for a while, or you can take a moment to even lie down if you like. And you really don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything at all for the next while, because all I'm going to be doing is asking you to direct your attention in certain ways. And you can notice certain changes in your experience, perhaps, as you begin to focus a little inward. And it's going to be really interesting to see how deeply you go this time of listening. It may be that you just dip your toe in this time, just go lightly into hypnosis, or maybe you'll go really deeply, or just quite deep this time. Maybe your unconscious mind will manifest to you all the amazing phenomena of trance, but it's really not important to go deeply into trance this time. You can just listen and wonder about what the words mean and why they're there, or you can forget the words entirely and they can be in the background. And this session will help you to start getting in touch with that part of you that you may have forgotten is there. The part of you which was pure awareness before you even learned to speak. The pure awareness that could absorb the patterns of tree leaves against a blue sky with an incredible amount of inherited wisdom without any learned limitations. And when you looked at that leaf, you didn't know what it was. It was just an infinitely absorbing and fascinating thing that somehow spoke to that deep part of you in a language without words. And even today, as an adult, you occasionally experience that part of yourself when you become absorbed in a dream, an experience created entirely by yourself, but at the same time something you live through as an observer. Wonderfully creative part of you, the part that gets engaged when all worry and concern melt away and you're totally absorbed in what you're doing. The part that's in control when things are working more beautifully than you could consciously imagine. And your unconscious mind can do what it likes. It can think right now, it can wonder, can criticize or drift away and not listen. Whatever it likes, because I'm talking to the deep you now, the real you, the original you. I'm talking to your unconscious mind. And the art of learning how to go into a deep, beautiful trance, to know how to unhook the conscious mind from the process for a while. Just being able to let it happen. And when you learn that, when you really learn it, then you've learned not just how to go into hypnosis, but you've learned how to unhook your conscious mind from anything for a while. Anything where it would be more appropriate, more effective, more successful to let your unconscious mind take over. Just allowing yourself to relax gently deeper because your unconscious mind knows how to do that. Learning little by little, here and now, how to allow yourself to relax. And whether you pay conscious attention to my words as you begin to relax beautifully, or whether your conscious mind seems to drift off to other thoughts or ideas, really doesn't matter. Because a part of you will be listening, even when you have forgotten to be aware of my words. And you could just take a little time to direct your awareness towards your breathing and follow your breath with your mind in and out, like a sun-warmed sea coming in and out, washing over glittering sand of a faraway beach perhaps. Or you can just listen to the sound of your breathing as you begin to notice a certain warmth or comfort in your hands. And you could even imagine the air just around those hands starting to relax a little more now. And you could even just notice which hand is a little lighter than the other. Whether the left is left with more lightness, or the right hand is right to be lighter. And if they haven't already, those eyes can begin to close. Because it's curious to wonder just what you might be hypnotically able to experience, your potential, maybe this time, maybe some other time, because it's amazing to know that your subconscious mind knows more about you than you do. The part of you that does all those amazing things the conscious mind doesn't even know how to do. And it's that part of you I'm talking to right now. The part that knows how to mend the body on a cellular level and recognize and recollect and reconnect with all kinds of things the conscious mind just can't do, whether you know it or not. Consciously, I'm talking to the part of you that can do amazing things, things you don't even know about yet. Not just relax deeply now, or drift into a deep, beautiful and restful sleep deeply. Amazing how when I learned about hypnosis, it was like finding a room in a house that I thought was such a familiar place. The kind of normal looking house you might find anywhere, with a pretty average front door and a few bedrooms and a small back garden. And I just didn't know that within that house lay an endless magical place, an undiscovered part, a hidden place, a new doorway. But it wasn't just another room. The doorway of discovery, to my amazement, led to a whole new place in human experience, full of possibility and wonder and amazement at what people can do, where you could be helped so powerfully and naturally. I had lived 27 years. I'd lived 27 years without having properly experienced hypnosis for myself. And yet this enchanted place in the mind had been there all the time. I discovered this doorway one day. The familiar way people were and the way I thought I was changed forever for me. And you might really wonder what relaxed and yet building curiosity feels like. A building sense of you just have to find out, you just have to know and discover. Where in your body might you feel a real curiosity? A warm buzz in your hands, perhaps? Or a bright, healthy glow in your stomach? A glow of expectation? And your mind knows what a door might look like inside a door frame, what color it might be, type of wood or material. And for 2 or 3 seconds as you relax so deeply now, even just see a doorway in your mind for a split second. And I really don't know what that doorway might look like, what color it is. And in a moment, when you get the sense of going through that doorway, discovering a delicious taste of possibility from the magical kingdom of hypnosis. And in a dream, if you were to put your hand on a doorknob to open the door into a new part of life, in that dream it would almost feel for real, as if you can actually feel for a moment that doorway in your hand, the doorknob in your hand. Such is the power of your unconscious mind to replicate reality. When you dream deeply in sleep, and as you hold that doorknob and turn it and push just a little, with all the possibilities of hypnosis to transform your life, to gain incredible confidence and inner and outer strength, to control and alter the workings of the body, to ease and comfort and inspire and create and focus the mind in new ways. And as you step through the doorway now, notice the colors as you tread into this magical kingdom. The colors and some of the sounds perhaps. The light on beautiful landscapes, like a warm, encouraging breeze on the skin of your face on a beautiful summer's day. And deep within your mind, a wind of change and new beginnings. The ground of this place beneath your feet, being immersed in it, the colors and sounds once you begin to discover hypnosis in your life, seeing how you'll use it for yourself and others, learning and absorbing new knowledge on such a deep level. And just notice what drifts into mind now, how this new dimension of understanding is going to transform your life. Just get an intimation of that now. Maybe in images or sounds or sensations in the mind. And I'm reminded of the man who, many years ago, during the years when diamonds were first being discovered in Africa, a farmer who was intrigued by the promise of great wealth. Only one thing stood in his way before he could set off on his search for the diamonds that would make him a wealthy man. After many months of negotiating, at last the deal was done and he was free to pursue his dream. He sold his farm, set off on his travels, and the search was long and painful, trekking mile after weary mile across deserts and plains, through jungles and mountain passes. The farmer searched for the elusive diamonds, having sold his farm and left that behind, but none could be found. And finally, penniless and sick and utterly depressed, he gave up hope completely, and he leaves our story here. But back on the farm that he'd sold and left all that time ago, the man who bought the farm carefully tilled the land, looking after it and tending it as it should be. And then one day, the new owner of the farm, as he was planting a crop, came across a strange-looking stone. He picked it up and the weight in his hand, carrying it to the farmhouse, he washed the mud off it and placed it on the mantle in the light that shone through it, and he realized in an instant it was a huge diamond, the first of many to be found on that farm. And I tell you this story because it's so easy to become disconnected from the amazingness of who you really are. And millions of people don't go through the doorway inside in that way. The potential of all humans, that potential within you to learn and do and have things you didn't know you can have. And within the magic part of the mind, the hypnotic mind, the creative powerhouse, you can change all kinds of processes. You can observe yourself from future times doing something wonderful you didn't know you'd ever be able to do. You can try new ways of being out for size and change some of the things about yourself that no longer serve you. And as those new ideas and concepts sink into your mind, then for now you can just begin to return to the everyday, back through that doorway, to begin to direct your attention again down into the toes and just start to wiggle the toes and fingers perhaps. And you can just get the sense of traveling back or having traveled back through that doorway in your mind, knowing there is a type of magic within you. a place you can revisit, and each time you do that, it can be more powerful, more refreshing, more vivid, and much more rewarding. And as you become more aware of any sounds around, perhaps, and the sensations of whatever is supporting you there, perhaps a chair, or maybe you're lying down somewhere, you can just come fully back feeling rested and alert, and open your eyes and come back to the room. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, whether you went very deeply into hypnosis or just started to dip your toe in here and there, just skimming the surface. It really doesn't matter. Okay, you can still partake of some of the ideas in that session. What I would suggest is that you download the audio version of this video, which you'll see on the page, and put it on a device where you can listen on headphones, perhaps, at a later time. So you'll always have it there for you. And it's important to remember that whenever you're using an induction, like this one that we've just done, which is not tailored to you as an individual, it's not going to be necessarily as effective as it could be once you learn how to tailor the approach to your specific needs. Okay, so you might think it's strange that I'm saying that as someone who sells pre-made hypnosis downloads, but it's a fact. You know, when you know hypnosis yourself, you can spontaneously create perfectly crafted sessions for yourself and make them even more effective. Okay, so a general hypnotic induction can be extremely effective. But once you understand hypnosis, you don't need scripts, or you can do it spontaneously and beautifully tailored. So just before we wrap up, we talked earlier about hypnotic phenomena, such as hand levitations and how that works. Well, during that induction, you'll have hopefully started to get a sense of how you can become somewhat dissociated, detached from your surroundings, while still knowing where you are. Okay. And you can do the same thing with respect to your body. Using the right language, you can create that same detachment from, say, a hand. And when we're using hypnosis as an anesthetic for surgery, this is the approach we start to use. And then once you've unhooked your conscious mind in this way, your unconscious is free to move your hand by itself. So sometimes it might float or feel as if it's separate from you in some way. And you'll feel like you're sort of watching it on TV, or you're outside of the experience in some way. It really is remarkable, but more importantly, this ability to unhook your consciousness from something, yet be aware of it, can be hugely helpful in all sorts of areas. What I want you to do is just think about some of that phenomena and why it might be there. Now, look out for the next video in this series in a few days, which is all about hypnotic pitfalls. These are natural hypnotic states that affect us every day, and more often than not cause us problems. Okay, so often people have emotional problems because of misused hypnosis or misused self-hypnosis. And I wish I'd known about them earlier, but once you understand them, you'll be able to see them operating and know what to do about them. So let me finish by saying that hypnosis really is the central component of human psychology. That sounds very grandiose, but when you understand it, you understand so much more about yourself and other people, and you understand that hypnosis is happening all the time, for good and bad, in humanity everywhere. And so to make this uncommon knowledge available to as many people as possible, we've taken our hypnosis course and put it into a brand new format, adding a whole section of new training materials and videos to make it a quick and effective method of learning hypnosis. And I'll be in touch about this course again soon. So keep an eye on your inbox and let me know how you found the induction in the comment section below this video. And I look forward to talking with you there, and I'll see you again in the next video.